Now, Israel's Prime Minister has launched a personal attack on Anthony Albanese, calling him weak and then accusing him of betraying Israel as well as abandoning Australia's Jews. Benjamin Netanyahu's outburst on social media comes amid escalating tensions between the two nations over visa cancellations and, of course, Palestinian recognition.
But the comments are being criticised by Mr Netanyahu's opponents, who describe him as politically toxic, and his social media post as a gift for the Australian PM. We've got the latest reaction from government frontbencher Claire O'Neill to bring you shortly, but our coverage begins with the ABC's Middle East correspondent Matthew Doran in Jerusalem.
Benjamin Netanyahu's criticism of Anthony Albanese follows a similar playbook as to how he's described other world leaders, people like the French President Emmanuel Macron and the British and Canadian Prime Ministers Keir Starmer and Mark Carney. But this time around it is particularly personal. On Mr Netanyahu's official account on the social media platform X, he posted that history will remember Anthony Albanese as a weak leader, one who betrayed Israel and abandoned Australia's Jewish community. This is clearly in response to Australia's announcement it will recognise Palestinian statehood at the upcoming United Nations General Assembly meeting in New York, and recent decisions to block controversial Israeli figures from travelling to Australia. It reflects a serious deterioration in the relationship between the two men, who we know spoke about a fortnight ago before that recognition announcement was made, and follows Israel's decision to block Australian diplomats working in the West Bank. It's unlikely this will shift the dial too much. This type of rhetoric is clearly designed for a domestic Israeli audience and may also resonate in some quarters of the Jewish community around the world. It's unlikely that Mr Albanese will be looking to shift Australia's position on matters like Palestinian statehood just because of Benjamin Netanyahu's intervention here. And the Israeli Prime Minister finds himself increasingly isolated on the world stage, not least because he has an arrest warrant issued by the International Criminal Court hanging over him for alleged war crimes in Gaza. The federal opposition leader Sussan Ley says any Australian Prime Minister deserves respect, but that respect is a two-way street. She's accusing Mr Albanese of mismanaging international relationships and finding himself at the centre of a diplomatic incident. It's telling that in the moments after Mr Netanyahu's comments, the Executive Council of Australian Jewry, which describes itself as the peak body for Australia's Jewish community, issued a statement calling for calm and telling both countries not to engage in a diplomatic tit-for-tat. We've also heard from Israel's ambassador to Australia, who's taken to the Israeli media airwaves to echo those sentiments, while also insisting Australia needs to accept and respect Israel's position. Clearly a demand not necessarily flowing in the opposite direction if Mr Netanyahu's comments are anything to go by. We have also heard from one of the leading opposition politicians in Israel, Yair Lapid, who's described Mr Netanyahu's character assessment of Anthony Albanese as a gift for the Australian Prime Minister. He said that the thing that strengthens the position of democratic leaders around the world more than anything else is criticism from Mr Netanyahu, who he describes as one of the most toxic politicians in the Western world.
That's our correspondent Matthew Doran there, and earlier in the show we spoke to the Housing Minister Claire O'Neill to get her reaction. She said she was disappointed by those comments from the Israeli Prime Minister. She said that Australia in response would be respectful. We are hearing though from a couple of different ministers about the place who have been a little bit stronger.
I might bring you a couple of comments from Tony Burke, who has spoken on RN Breakfast just this morning, saying strength is not measured by how many people you can blow up or how many children you can leave hungry. Strength is much better measured by exactly what Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has done, which is when there's a decision that we know that Israel won't like, he goes straight to Benjamin Netanyahu. He's also defended that decision to cancel the visa or to not grant a visa to an Israeli politician. So that's a little bit of reaction this morning from the government. Let's go now to our other top stories of the day with Emma.
Thank you. Bruce Lehrmann returns to the federal court in Sydney today for an appeal that he hopes will overturn the finding that on the balance of probabilities, he raped Brittany Higgins at Parliament House in Canberra in 2019. That finding was the result of a failed defamation case brought against Network 10 and journalist Lisa Wilkinson over an interview with Ms Higgins. Mr Lehrmann maintains he is innocent and there have been no criminal findings against him after his 2022 trial was abandoned. Jeremy Rockliff's Liberal government will retain power in Tasmania after a Labor-led no-confidence motion was defeated. The motion by Labor leader Dean Winter was voted down 24-10, with all crossbench MPs against it. Parliament resumes on the 9th of September. The Victorian government is today expected to release the findings of its urgent review of childcare safety. The rapid review into the childcare sector was set up after disturbing abuse charges were laid against a Melbourne childcare worker in June. The report was handed to the government on Friday and it's expected to be released to the public today. Premier Jacinta Allen previously said she would accept every recommendation in the report. WA's public hospitals are struggling to deal with a surge in demand on emergency departments, forcing a number of elective surgeries to be postponed. The Director General of WA Health says affected patients in the metropolitan area are being notified by their hospital.